Welcome back to another episode of Weebu Slice Podcast. You get your weekly anime,
gaming,
news, reviews, and discussions. Welcome back.
Welcome back, my people.
So, first thing first, you already know, we gotta get the YouTube stuff out the way. So make sure you like,
comment,
share, and subscribe to this video. Make sure you like the video.
Yeah, because you ambush watchers out there, we see you and you watching, but you're not subscribing. Help us out so we can help you guys out.
So, we still got the giveaway going on. We are very, very close to our goal. We are literally 4 to 5 subscribers away as the recording of this video. So, help us out so we can help you out.
Exactly. Get you guys a gift card so you can, buy your favorite anime snacks or whatever the case may be.
So, for this week topic, this week podcast is going to be discussing our choice for the best anime from this spring catalog. So, I'm going to go first. For me, I said it a couple episodes ago. We're going to put it in it. We're actually going to link it at the end of the video. The previous episode that we talked about all the spring anime and what was coming up and what we thought was good after watching the first episode. And now that it's finally ending, I'm excited for the next season already. And my first pick was going to be, of course, Tokyo Revengers. Now, he said he didn't like the first episode. He's like, I don't know how it's going to go from this particular episode, how it's going to go up. And me, I was already sold at the very first episode. I said from the very beginning, like, hey, this is a show you need to watch out for because it's very intriguing from the very first episode for me personally.
I'm like, I'm always about, you got to show me something. You got to captivate me. You got to motivate me to continue to watch your program.
So, I know Tokyo Revengers was so cold, especially the last episode that just wrapped up last week.
Oh that season finale. So wait, before we get started with anything, spoiler alert in case you have not watched anything. So we're gonna give you a second to hit the dough.
Yes. Thanks for reminding me because yes, every show that we are discussing during this week's podcast will contain spoiler for all of the anime that's in the spring season that you have not seen yet. If not, I recommend you catching up and then come back and watching this video.
Exactly.
But yes, now back to the podcast. So yeah, we talking about Tokyo Revengers, and dude, I'm like, man, this show is looking real good. Like, first of all, I wanted to see how the go into the future and come back to the past, and
how it was gonna work out. How it was gonna work.
Yeah.
How it was gonna play into everything.
Yeah, how he was gonna transition. Like, okay, he go back to the future, he come back to the past, and I did not expect any of this stuff that happened throughout the season. I didn't expect any of that.
No, I think that it had good escalating of the characters, good character development, especially your boy Takemichi.
Listen, the names are so catchy. All I hear is Takemichi. And I'm like, dude, I just walk around randomly just saying his name now. Like,
yeah, and that's with a Y, not an I.
Takemichi. And then, like, even him getting real cool with Mikey-kun and Dragon, I'm like, this is good.
Because the way that they portrayed them in the beginning, you just thought they were real a-holes and that they were just bad people. And they were, gangs are bad, your whole perception. Yep. And then once you get to know all the characters and see the character development and then see just how things are, you're like,
I like them. Yeah, I like them.
All right,
I like them.
Mikey, cool. You're my guy.
Yeah, and did you not know? Did you know that Tokyo Revengers is really popular, extremely popular, because it has a huge
manga following?
Not even just that, it has a huge female following now.
I didn't know that.
It's really popular.
Mike's like Drake and cool.
Actually, it's not even that. It's actually Mikey. They like Mikey cool actually a lot. I'm like, dude. But they like the bad boys, so it's kind of self-explanatory.
I thought it must be that head tattoo or that little ponytail.
Hey, it was kind of dope. The character designs is pretty dope too. Like, it's just the perception, like they really trying to be like bad A's or like seem like really cool in their culture, like how they dress and all that stuff. I'm like, man, this is actually pretty good. But I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the season finale episode and how. I wanted him to kiss her so bad. Like, at least they just say they love each other.
Well, the tension was high. He finally was able to bring her back, and they're in the park, and you're thinking that, okay, the brother leaves, so what's going to happen? Are they going to finally talk it out? And you're going to find out that, he's thinking, she dumped me.
Yep.
I dumped her. What type of guy am I? Mm-hmm. So...
And when I was watching the show, I'm like, did he dump her? I thought she dumped him. And she like, I'm still in love with the guy who left me. And he like, I left you because when he go, I will say this: when he traveled back and forth through time, he don't know what the previous version of him is doing in that meantime.
Exactly.
So if he did something before he transitioned back to that particular time period, he don't understand until that person tells him, and he like, oh, I broke up with you. I didn't even know that. And when he fast forward back to the future, he like, because in the past she broke up with him. But when he changed the
narrative,
when he changed the narrative, and it influenced the future. When he went back to the future, he actually changed it, and he actually broke up with her. Don't know how they didn't explain why he did it, anything like that. He don't even know why, to be honest. And the part that killed me was when he went to the bathroom. He's coming out, and old dude from the other gang, he like, oh, so you're not in the car, huh? Too bad. And he come back like, what you mean too bad? He remember his face and stuff like that. He saw his tattoo. And he like, oh, I remember that tattoo from somewhere. And that's the same dude that was fighting when they had
that was the big gang, when they had the big gang war. That was the gentleman who was fighting Mikey Kun.
Yep. And,
he looks more sophisticated now. And pretty much he set him up.
Dude, and off topic, a lot of females really love him too because his hairstyle and all that stuff, like how he looked like. He's actually a pretty dope character, the way his character design is. But back to the story and how he walked back to the car. He's like, hold on, what's going on with Hinata? And he got back to the car, and it was a car going full speed and ran into her. And long story short, he tried to save her. And the person who killed her was his old best friend. He like, yeah, I'm a part of the gang still. I can't do it. It's out of my control. It's out of my control. He like, this is the same thing that happened in the past. He like, go ahead and save us again. And he tried to go save Hinata, pull out the car, and she's like, I love you. And he like, I love you too. And she pushed him out the car, and everything exploded. And he was walking away. He was like, I'm going to become the new gang leader now. I'm gonna go back to the past. I'm gonna become the gang leader. I'm like, Mike dropped right there. Mike got dropped.
Yeah, at that point, you like, yeah, he totally serious.
Yeah. And I actually got way more confidence in him after he fought old dude and put him in that chokehold.
We put him in that sleeper hold.
And I'm like, oh, finally, he's not a punching bag no more. Because, boy, he was getting his butt laid. He was getting them paws laid on him extra hard. I just got tired of him getting beat him. He finally stood up for himself. I'm like, thank you.
I think that's part of his character development to, know what it feels to truly be knocked down and to rise to the occasion when it matters the most. All the other stuff is all good, but him rising to the occasion instead of running away when it matters the most.
He really faced it.
And I think that's, not to cut you off, that's just a lesson in general for anybody.
I'm going to finish this up and then I'm going to let you go ahead and go into yours. My thing is he learned how to face adversity head on because he faced a lot of adversity throughout this first season. I mean, a lot. And he was just crying. He was pouting. And he actually, throughout his character development, you actually see him growing up. You see him taking accountability. You see him taking responsibility. And he's like, you know what? It's up to me. I got to do all this. And it's nobody's. If I don't do it, there's no way this is going to change for me. I actually got to step up to the plate and actually handle this like a man. But, hey, I got to put a grade on it. Hey, it actually went from A to my. I ain't gonna lie, it's S. It's S. It hit S for me. I ain't gonna lie, it hit an S for me. So, what's you graded?
I'm gonna give it A plus. It's not quite S yet, but it has grown on me, and I did change my whole perspective. I tell you when I was like, oh, I was gonna be wrong about this anime, and this was one that I was like, yeah, it is actually as it progressed and the narrative started to change, it got progressively good. So it's an A plus, not S yet, but it can get there.
Dude, it hit for me.
I would say. I'm going to see what the second season brings, and we'll go from there.
But it hit. It definitely hit. But go ahead and do your choice for this spring anime.
Well, I'm going to have to go with 86. I think it's a sleeper anime that no one's really talking about. I do still see it on the AniTrends top 10. And that last episode was just heartbreaking.
It was for you?
Yes. It was very heartbreaking.
I understand. Not to interrupt, but go ahead and finish. I'm gonna finish my statement after you finish yours.
So, long story short, the whole 86 gets slaughtered, and the whole 86 gets slaughtered, and she has to take all the tasks that the Reaper made and carry on the mission. And she wants to pretty much change the Republic's view of the 86 soldiers and treat them more as human. And it starts with 1. So I think it's going to be very interesting for the second season. I believe I saw that it's coming out October. So we'll kind of see what happens then. But the fact that...
Pause real fast. Now, when you mention second season, let me go ahead and mention this real fast, and I'm going to let you carry on. Tokyo Revengers actually is continue literally back to back. Season 1 is literally transitioning to season 2 immediately, like next week. So you don't have, it's really no wait time, but continue.
But yeah, so I mean, I think that long story short, everyone got slaughtered, and the only thing that good that happened was the Reaper was able to finally put his brother to rest. But the way that they were set up from the get-go by the government was beyond me. So I think that it's a sleeper hit that if you have not watched, you can definitely binge it in maybe a day or two and check it out.
So I actually watched this show also. I finished it up. I'm all caught up. And me personally, I really didn't get too attached to the characters. Just me personally, I didn't really get too attached to them. Even though I did like the main dude that was over the 86, like he was the main leader. I didn't like
the
him.
Reaper?
Yeah, the Reaper. I liked him a lot because he was just a bad A. He really just like he low-key carried that team by himself really. And one thing I thought was stupid, like he was trying to save the other 86. And they wanted. I know they had a great relationship and friendship, and they came with guns, like they was gonna do something. Like you really know this is a suicidal mission, right? Like you already have a hard time fighting them in your machine. And then you jump out and do hand-to-hand combat and shooting guns. I said, oh, they about to get laid out. Like what kind of sense did that make? Like you just really just went to y'all like, you know what? I can't save you, but I'm just gonna die with you then. And
I mean, at that point, well, they were gonna. I think at that point they knew that they were gonna die regardless, and so they might as well die with the ones that they love and the ones that been there and had their backs through thick and thin. I think it was just pretty much one last stand, one last hoorah.
That's true, but it's like the reason I couldn't get too attached to these characters for me personally, because a character would die every episode. Every episode, somebody would die. So like, there's no development for these particular characters that who's dying. So
no, I think for some of the other characters you had slight development, but you kind of got their backstories on why they were the way they were and kind of why they would die.
But you still didn't get too much investment out of them.
No, the only one that you get real investment out of is the Reaper.
Yeah,
and I think that I don't think his story is actually over, but we shall see. So,
sir, now your conclusion, your grade.
Great anime. I think it's B plus, almost an A. Kind of gotta see where the second season kind of goes, but it's very sad. I was mostly invested in the Reaper, but we'll see. And of course his handler. So
yeah, I like the handler too. She actually cared about those.
Like she treated them as humans, like human decency.
Even though they call her a pig and all that stuff, but yeah, she definitely has some real compassion for them and empathy. But my grade on it, I'm a little bit more harsh when it comes to this title. I think like a C plus, B minus for me. But I did enjoy it. I ain't gonna say it's not wasting your time. It's only like most of these episodes. Every episode we talking about in this particular category will be like 12 episodes, so you can knock it out like in no time. Don't you?
Yeah,
have
pretty
time?
much you can binge them in a day. To be honest with you, day maybe two. If you're weak.
So if you got time, you can check this out. But you can go ahead. You can get your final thoughts on this one.
Like I said, I thought it was really good. I think that we'll see where the story goes. I think that there will be more character development with the handler because there's a lot of questions that were not answered. So we'll kind of see where it goes, and I believe it comes back in October.
Yep. That's why I said your second season when it should be coming back, but you already mentioned that. So let me go ahead and recommend my second anime that was from the spring catalog, and this is actually on Funimation. I don't know if it's dubbed yet, but we watched all these shows in sub.
It's they're doing it in dub as we're speaking. There's only about 5 episodes in dub right now. Yep.
Got it. So the show I'm referring to is Full Dive. This ultimate next gen Full Dive RPG is even shittier in real life. And it's kind of different because I'm the one who's given an extremely long title this time. So
that's usually my thing.
So I'm the one who actually recommended an extremely long title. But the reason why I like this is one of your isekai shows. We've been mentioning a lot of those in the previous podcast. And basically, he don't die or anything like that, but it's him going to another universe and he actually participating in a video game and stuff like that.
Well, it's more of a sword art. It's definitely a sword. It's not. I wouldn't say it's an isekai because isekai was saying that you die and reincarnate in another world.
Okay, gotcha.
So I would just say that it's a gaming anime, and I'll let you continue taking over though.
But so he was buying a game. He decided to stumble across. He lost. First of all, he was going to school, and they took his money, and he didn't have enough money to get the game he really wanted. So he decided to go to another game store. And when he went to this game store, the girl like, you know what? You should try this game out. And she
swindled him.
Yeah, she swindled him.
Swindled him.
Like, get this game, and the game was terrible. And he started playing it, and the game was basically it's an RPG that basically imitates life. And like when you like, it's none of that stuff. Like when you watch anime, it's like kind of stuff that you expect to happen. Like they got plot armor. It's like you got extra powers and all that stuff. This game is like very
supposed to be the realistic game ever.
So if you die in this game, it's not gonna kill you like SAO, but your console will break. And he like, I gotta get a whole new system. Yes, you gotta get a whole new system if you die. If you feel pain in this game, you feel pain in real life. And instead of like having like the interaction between the NPCs and him, it's like they basically try to make the NPCs as realistic as possible. I'm gonna give a scenario. So in the very first episode, he killed his best friend clearly by mistake. So his sister like, why would you kill my brother? And he ain't had no remorse because he's so used as his mindset like it's just a video game. They just NPCs. They'll come back. It is what it is. And you have to have a different perspective when it comes to this particular game. Like you really need to care about your NPCs. You really need to treat them as real humans. And when he finally doing that, because the brother that he killed was hunting him as a ghost, and he like until he forgets.
She was trying to murder him.
Yes, the whole time, and he had to forgive himself for killing his best friend because that was technically his best friend. That's how the scenario, his story plot was set up, and he was like, when he finally repent and actually apologize to him, and he actually met him in like another world, and he like, I'm so sorry for killing you, and that's when he actually changed his whole gaming experience from there.
Yeah, it was like his self-conscious, and he ended up trying to help him out pretty much in the end, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, and then on top of that, most video games give you superpowers. You have some type of ability, and he didn't have no ability at all. He was getting his butt whooped. He was getting hunted down by old girl for a long time. And then the first time he got escaped, the first time he was able to change his life or change his outcome in the game, when he was getting tortured and he wet himself. And old girl was like, and when time he do a outcome, it changed his name on his necklace. And when he peed on himself, it changed the outcome for the better, and they just call him Wet Pants, something like that. And
yeah, because the game doesn't have a progression system.
Nope.
So if you want to know where you are in the game, you have to look at what your name tag says, and whatever your name tag says, that's pretty much where you're, what state you're in the game. So in most RPGs, they give you some type of title like the dominant one. So-and-so.
The sorcerer.
Yeah, something like that. Or the chosen one, Nightman. Or whatever your dog tag says, that's pretty much where you are in the game.
And you cannot level up. You cannot gain experience points or anything like that. So so the thing is, what you are good in real life transpire into the game. So he was a track runner, something like that. He was really good at cross country. He used to be a track runner, and he used to compete. And he peed on himself, I think, even in a track meeting in real life, and basically replicated in the game. But since he was a track runner, and at one point in time, he had to try to save this girl, and his adrenaline was running real hard, and he finally activated his power, and his power was like the Flash. He started, he got real high speed and running, and that's what his special ability was. But it only happens through the heat of the moment. His adrenaline had to go extremely high for him to even activate this ability, and it's like a one-time thing. And it was just crazy because the plot twist was at the end when the guy he was supposed to be working with, like the leader who saved him from getting tortured, was a villain the whole time. The whole time he was a villain.
Yeah, because pretty much he was in a island that's surrounded and cut off from the world, and the queen and her pretty much number one knight was pretty much lying and keeping people in the city, to pretty much using fear as a means to keep people in line.
Yep.
And he ended up figuring it out, and so they had to duke it out. And I'll let you finish.
Yep. And just to make it, I don't want to give too much. Just to make a long story short, that he just died, and he had to get a whole new system. And to be honest with you, he broke his system, and old girl gave him a new system. She's supposed to give him a new system anyway, because it's her fault in the beginning. Because if it wasn't for her, he would never broke his system, and he would never be playing that game in the first place.
But I think the more important thing about his situation is the life lessons and things that he learned along the way.
Yep.
Because he was very timid, letting people push him around, not taking life very seriously, not taking their own bonds and the relationships that he carries very seriously, just kind of living a lackadaisical life and not being really responsible even for himself.
Yep.
And, he got to the point where even his own sister started to resent him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think him playing a realistic RPG and trying to escape his real life problems actually ended up helping him confront all of his real life problems, and that's why I think that I particularly like this anime, because it takes a different perspective to get him to start doing the right thing, which is taking care of himself, taking care of his business, and manning up.
Yep. So yeah, and when his sister got crashed, I'm like, hey, this man, I actually, because he found out he wanted to go look at tutorials on how he can continue to play the game at the last save point. Because once you die in this game, you're supposed to start from the very beginning, but it's like a loophole. And he found this loophole that he can basically go back and fight the same boss and actually carry on where he left off at. And he like, okay, I get a second chance. Now I know what to do now. I'm excited. Let's get it. And that's how it ended. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm ready for next season. We'll see what happens. But if I got to put a grade on it, it's a B class. It's a B.
Yeah, it's a B for me as well.
It's a B.
It's definitely good.
It's a little bit above average.
It's above average,
So-
but it just definitely gives me SAO feels. Like everything about it is like, if you close your eyes, you would think that it's SAO.
The only thing is, I think this got more realism to it a little bit when it comes to like anything. Like, say for instance, like that one scenario when he touched a girl boob, like he thought that was gonna change. Like,
Yeah, like the little things like that. But the overall picture it definitely gives you SAO feels.
But yeah,
But it's good.
Yeah, check it out. Most definitely. It's only like 12 episodes, like we mentioned earlier. Most of these shows is going to be a quick watch, and we highly recommend it. And like you said earlier, it's already been dubbed. So if you want to use that other option to go watch the dub, go ahead and check it out on Funimation app.
So the next one that I am going to talk about is To Your Eternity.
That's another one.
Man, that one. Let's just take a moment of silence for my boy Gugu.
Moment of silence for Gugu, man.
All right, so now that you got the hint, it was pretty. It's another one of those animes that get you kind of in your feelings. You get attached to the characters, and you like, man, I like him. I like what he's doing. I understand where he's coming from, but then they take him out, Game of Thrones style. Every time I look up, you get attached to a character, and they taking him out. So if you haven't seen To Your Eternity, it's pretty much, I'm just going to say, God created this rock that gets stimulation and is supposed to adapt as it interacts with anything, human beings, animals, whatever it may be. So this being transforms eventually into a human being and starts experiencing emotion, empathy, sympathy, having fun, laughter, and what it is to be a human and how humans, interact with one another. And along the way, he meets friends, he meets foes, and, he figures out what it means to walk the earth. And unfortunately, he has a nemesis, which they call the Knockers, and it's pretty much some other being, which usually takes the form of stone and tree, like too much elements, and it tries to pretty much take anything that he's interacted with away from him. So it gets pretty interesting in the very last episode. Gugu wants to protect.
Hey, shout out to that boy Gugu, because he had his own character development for like 3 episodes too. How they show how him and his brother was robbing money from him. Then he actually ventured on and carried on as a little boy to become the man he became. And he saved a girl. He lost his face. He had to walk around with a mask on. And the old man saved him, put like liquor and alcohol in his belly and stuff like that. Like he went through the struggle. He went through the struggle.
Yeah, becoming friends with Fushi and helping protect Fushi from the Knockers, and ended up pretty much sacrificing himself for the woman that he loves in that last episode when the building pretty much crushed him, but he withstood it and put her under him, and she was able to escape. And for Gugu, that was like the most noblest thing that he could have did. For Fushi, he was sad because he really understood what dying meant in that moment.
Yep.
Because before, Google tried to explain it to him, and he was like, I guess that's what happened to people that I've been interacting with. But when he actually realized that he's not coming back and that he could turn into him, when he turned into him,
oh yeah, that was it. That was it.
I knew.
That was it.
I knew. And when he lied to the girl and said, yeah, I'm Gugu, I'm like, man, he do not want to break her heart.
Nope.
But she ended up really figuring it out that he is not coming back because she waited in that flower field and she knew.
Mm-hmm.
And she knew.
Gugu was a real one, man.
So
we need to put like a tombstone. They had a tombstone for
they
him.
they had a little rock or something like that for Gugu. I definitely recommend this one. Highly recommend. Definitely put you in your feelings. I'm going to give this one an A as well.
That was the show I recommended in the very beginning. Like we mentioned, we will be putting this thumbnail in the end of the video so you can check it for yourself. But To Your Turn was the show I recommended. I'm like, man, this is really good. And people, like I mentioned, people always tell me, go watch Reincarnated as a Slime. How does this compare to that?
Oh, Reincarnated as a Slime is definitely an S, but this is definitely up there. But this gives you a different type of feeling than Reincarnated as a Slime. This is more drama and on an emotional base. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't even put them in the same two categories.
It just had a very small fundamental similarities.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you. But so we both can agree with this particular anime because we talked about Lies. And the one, this is his recommendation, so I should let him just recommend.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
So, is Higehiro. And if you don't remember this anime that I'm referring to right now, just the anime we were talking about when the guy found the young girl that was underage and he was intoxicated after he just got his heart broke, and he took her in as a stray. He brought her up as one of his own, took care of her, fed her and stuff like that. And while she was at home cleaning, taking care of him, and they just had a great dynamic relationship. And at the very end, he was like, you know what? Her brother finally came to go pick her up. He found her, and she was kind of afraid to go back home to confront her mother because her mother was the whole reason why she even ran away in the first place. And the very end of the season, she actually went home, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go home with you to be your support system, so you don't have to worry about facing her alone. And he did go with her, and the mother was like still going in, like, why would you do this? Why would you do that?
Man, I don't blame her for running away because her mother was on another level. Man,
for real.
She said, I should have never had you. I was like, in that moment, I said, my man said, I should dash you. I said, you dash her. But he's like, nope, I'm in her house. Yep. I'm playing by her rules. And he still showed respect. So much respect. He even bowed at the lowest form on his knees for her to take her daughter back
and accept her flaws and basically not even apologize, just like, can you be a better person to her, basically,
you know.
And I'm like, dude, like, she really sat there and looked at him like, why would you bow? I don't even know you, and you barely even know my daughter, and you doing this. And he's like, I really care for your daughter, I really care about her. I'm not in love with her, but technically kind of is, to be honest with you.
Well, her brother picked up on, he asked him, are you in love with the high schooler, pretty much is what he says. And he's like, don't be silly. But you can tell on some fundamental level that a woman and a man living under the same house, you will develop some type of feelings.
Yes.
And you can tell from some of the things, from the climbing into the bed to her washing and cooking and all the different things. But I was glad that he was able to stick to his guns and he got on the plane, even though he was sad, because, you know, he manned up and he went on about his life. But what tripped me out was he's on his way home after pretty much getting over her, that she's sitting outside. But what they don't tell you, spoiler alert, that is a year later.
For real?
Yes.
How you find that out?
I was looking at tweets and I did some investigating, and people said that pretty much that's a year after the events happened. So I'm thinking that because I think they hit it towards it actually in the last episode when she said, "Will you wait for me?" and he said no.
Yep.
So in that moment, I think that they're gonna try to, you know, maybe have a relationship, or it's going to be a 3-way harem, because you have to remember there are 3 women that like him.
3, yeah, that's true.
So a lot of people forget that, you know, he has his co-worker who...
2 of them.
Well, one's his boss, the
Yep.
other one's his coworker,
Yep.
and then you have the high school. So there is competition, and the thing is, all three of the women know that it's a competition.
Yep. But why? This is off script. If you had to choose, I know my decision. If you had to choose, which one would you go for?
I'll just say this: I cup.
You just had. Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm kind of sold between the two because the thing is, I think I hate when females play games and then you gotta worry about, oh, now obviously you like me now when these other girls didn't like me. Now you want to show me that you like me now until before then, and then she lied to him talking about I have a boyfriend. And
you can blame her, but you can't blame her at the same time because he wasn't showing the traits that he needed to have.
That's true.
So you can blame her for some things, but she knows on some fundamental level he needs to step up and do some of the things and take care of yourself first. Because if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of me. Once he started doing the things that he needed to do for himself, he became more attractive.
Okay, I get that. But I'm going to go and put a grade on it also. I think it's actually an A for me.
It's definitely an A for me as well.
Yeah,
I think whatever happens in the next season will determine if it goes up or down.
Yep.
But where do you go from here? That's the question.
Now that we're done talking about our choices for the spring anime, you let us know what spring anime that caught you off guard, was captivated you, and that was really good that we did not mention. Let us know in the comment section below.
Let us know down below.
So before we get into our gaming topics for this week, we do want to mention that Demon Slayer movie actually is actually available on Funimation streaming app. And if you haven't seen the movie yet, we highly recommend going and check it out ASAP.
Bring the tissue.
So if you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out on Funimation. It's right there for you, and most definitely it's a must watch. But now we can get into our gaming news. So for this week, the first gaming news we're going to address is Control actually getting a multiplayer called Condor. So I know we've seen a lot of accolades regarding Control, how good it is. They gave it away. They just gave it to everybody nowadays. You can play it on PS5 for free, and you can play it on Game Pass. And I heard a lot of great things regarding Control, how smooth it is, how the control is very fluid. And what do you think? Your perception? How will you think the multiplayer will be like? Like I'm trying to visualize how it will be for that particular game. Like what kind of multiplayer would they even have that's like similar to the single player?
That's a good question. I mean, they could do something like the Mass Effect, where waves of different things.
I think if anything, because Remedy is the same people who make Max Payne, and I think they should have something similar to like how Max Payne Online was. Max Payne Online was actually pretty dope to me.
I never played it, so.
So Max Payne Online, you have different characters you can create, and it's like basically third person still. Max Payne, you can slow down time and jump and all that stuff. You can do that online too. And it was like they had different type of game modes. You had team deathmatch, you had gang. You even could create a gang and do gang matches and all that stuff. It was pretty dope actually. And you can have multiple guns, like you can have your dual pistols and all that stuff. And you don't even have to pick up guns. You just have your own gun. You have your own loadout. So it was definitely pretty dope. I wonder if they do something like that. That would be pretty dope because she have a lot of abilities and stuff like that. Will they tone it down for each character, like different type of specialties for each character?
Right.
And you get to be a particular character and like, okay, you have this particular power, but it's only locked behind this particular character. And try to make a complete balance it out like certain basically for instance, I'm used to Nobi Strike as a reference. You have your healer, you have your attack type, you have the defensive type. And stuff like that. It would be dope to have a similar scheme for
that. Like different roles that you can play.
So,
gotcha.
So people have a different role and basically make it like a team-based type of ordeal for that multiplayer. I think it'll be pretty dope that way. I know I played Control a little bit. I played more of Quantum Break. Same developers and stuff like that. Quantum Break.
Yeah, that was episode-based too. Yeah. Quantum Break.
So it's something like that. But I'm looking forward to it. I'll check it out. It depends on how much it costs. Since I don't know if it's gonna be like attachment to Control and like okay you just
whether it's gonna be DLC that's already or it's gonna be a standalone.
Yeah. So that literally depends on if I'm gonna play it or not. If I gotta pay like $60 for just a multiplayer game, like no, not happening. But we will see. We will keep you guys updated if anything changes. But the news that I ain't gonna lie, we always talking about, but it's such juicy news for us. And I'm not even gonna hold you up. Ghost of Tsushima just announced the director's cut for PS4 and PS5 So, Ghost of Tsushima, obviously we already know, we already mentioned it multiple times. It's our game of the year for 2020.
Game of the year, so many different accolades, beautiful cutscenes, beautiful gameplay, very accurate to actual samurai lifestyle.
So now we got the news. We was talking about this off camera. So you can buy the deluxe. It's kind of, I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of slap in the face. People already bought it last year because you can just buy the game at retail version and you get the full package. But people who bought it gotta buy it separately. And if you buy just a retail, you get the full because it comes with a DLC. I know it was like a rumor at first, and the rumor was talking about like Ghost of Ikishima, and it's actually included with this particular director's cut. But if you already own the game, you gotta pay $20 for the PS4 version. But if you own a PS5 and you want the PS5 version, you gotta pay $30. And we was talking about this. We like, dude, is it really worth $30 for the features they are giving you?
That was the biggest gripe that I've had because I actually played Ghost of Tsushima on my PS5 for the first time. And to be honest with you, yes, it's going to be in 4K, 60 frames per second when you get the upgraded version, but you will not be able to tell a visible difference with the naked eye unless they are literally side by side because it's still beautiful.
Dude.
So I don't think that they're giving you enough for what they're asking for. Even at the $30 price mark, it really should probably be a free upgrade to the 4K PS5 version, to be honest. And you should only be paying for the DLC. And my thing about the DLC, that's great that you're making DLC for a game that came out last year or a year and a half, 2 years ago. But my question, which like most gamers, is how long is the DLC? How many hours can we get out of it? And what else you got? What else are you gonna do with the multiplayer? Because $30 just for maybe 5 hours or 4 hours or 2 hours.
Technically, you be paying 60. Well, you got yours for a discounted price, but if you bought it for a price like I did, you technically paying $90 for both. And I'm like, that's kind of a burner for me. I'm like, hold on, why do you can just give me this at a discounted price, or like he said, free? Because the features they are giving you can be allowed in just a free update. Just how they did last, because it's just a Sony published, Sucker Punch is a Sony published gaming company, just how Insomniac and everybody else is. So Insomniac, Naughty Dog, everybody else is giving out free updates. There's a free update for Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man, the original one. Last of Us Part 2 also did an update with 4K 60 FPS and all that stuff. And they didn't charge us a penny for that. So I'm thinking like, wow, you guys think it's okay to charge us $30 for?
Well, that's just like, not to cut you off, just like that rumor about Bloodborne.
Oh yeah, that's that. And I would not be paying full price for that game. They got the game messed up. I would just pay it. I just wait till you go on an extreme discount.
Either you give it to us for free, or hey, maybe $10 to upgrade. A $10 upgrade fee, which I wouldn't be happy about, but $10 isn't gonna really upset me. Like if you say $30 upgrade, what? Because that's really what you're paying for, in my opinion.
Because out of all the features they are giving you, you could just give it to for free. And if anything, if they try to sell us on all these features, you know what you be selling us on? The DLC itself. What this DLC is entail? What this DLC is? How long it's going to be? And what entice us to want to actually get this DLC? That's what y'all should have been actually trying to
they gave
sell us
you
on.
About like 10 seconds of something that looked like DLC, but it could have just been different pictures and video from something that already happened.
They didn't go in details at all about the Ghost of Ikishima DLC. I'm like, that's what you should be trying to sell people on, because everything else is just extra features that you can give for free. Yeah,
because if it's if the DLC is $30, I need about 30 to 40 hours of freaking that's almost a video game. If you think that's almost a video game, I need a freaking gameplay.
So it is coming out August 30th. So if you want to check it out, check it on your own accord at that particular point. So we'll leave it at that. But while we talking about Sony, let's talk about how Sony's acquiring these new IPs, and how they was talking about they not competing with Microsoft, but they've been acquiring.
They low key are competing with Microsoft, so I just want to say that up front. It's all about competition. Don't let them lie.
I don't care what they say, because competition is always best for the consumer. We always get the best outcome at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what they're talking about, because Microsoft said a lot of similar sentiments also. Talking about we not competing. We don't see Sony or Nintendo as competition. We see Google and Amazon as competition for the cloud. And I kind of understand, because they're trying to transition to more streaming and stuff like that.
Well, their thing is play anywhere, anywhere, anytime, any device.
Yeah.
They pretty much figure we can get. This is how I think. We can get more of your money if we're just on all platforms besides games, besides consoles.
Yeah.
We're limiting just being on consoles. And on the opposite side, places are like, well, no, we're strictly on consoles because we care. Mm-hmm. So they have on two different ends of the approach. I just want to see who's going to give me the best games, best bang for my butt.
Yep, that's all I care. That's all I care about too. But we was mentioning Sony actually acquired House Mark, which is the people who actually just released and developed Returnal. I'm gonna check it out if once again this kind of price, because for me, I heard a lot of great things about it, but based on what I saw from the game, I don't believe it's worth $70. I don't think it's worth $70. But if I can catch it at a discounted price like $30, I'll play it in.
Well, catch it at Black Friday sale.
I'm guaranteeing you this is gonna be on Black Friday sale.
I'm all about those sales.
So. And
hey, shout out to my boy Chad. He said you told him to catch it on sale. I said, yeah, Chad. So shout out to him.
So, yes, Returnal and stuff like that. And I know a lot of developers and publishers like, if you want to support a game, buy it at full price. Buy it at full price. You gotta give me a reason to want to buy it at full price. I'm not just giving you my hard-earned money just because I want to support you. It doesn't work that way. You have to give me a reason to want to buy this game.
Exactly.
But the rumor on the street, I see you acquiring also Blueprint Games, the developers for the remake of Demon's Souls, and that was I ain't gonna say it's a big one, but it's definitely meaningful because Demon's Souls was nice, and they also worked on the remaster for the Uncharted collection. They worked on multiple remasters, so I'm like that was a good pickup for them also.
Yeah, for remasters and things in the future, just having someone on the team that is dedicated to it.
Either remaster or try to give them an IP they can make from scratch themselves and see what they do with it.
Right.
But our next gaming topic we're going to be talking about, unfortunately, Cyberpunk.
Unfortunately. But it's good news for you Cyberpunk fans out there.
It's still unfortunately, because if you own base consoles, it's still run terribly. They had made, so the good news is it's back on Sony digital storefront for you guys if you want to try it out.
Yeah, it's back on the PlayStation Store, guys.
So the bad news is still run like crap on the base systems. The only Sony made them put out a disclaimer. If you want to play this game at good performance or optimal performance, make sure you play on PS4 Pro or PS5. Same thing applies for base console for Xbox. If you want to play on if you want the optimal experience, play it on Series X or One X. Do not play it on the base console because you still gonna have a terrible experience. And the crazy thing that kills me is CJ Projekt Red is gonna say we are satisfied with the condition of the game, it's the state of the game right now. And I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious? I'm like, you just happy? You should be happy you just got back on Sony storefront. Let alone you talking about you contend with the stability of the game.
Well, they still made a profit even though they lost a lot off the game itself. But as I last read, I believe that their market stock is down.
Extremely down, actually, because the shareholders, they were like, you know what? Let me go ahead and pull some of that back because you guys put all this investment into this game and it did not live up to the expectations at all. So.
I haven't played it yet. I'm still just waiting, just patiently waiting.
Listen, I played like an hour of the game, and I'm doing the same thing you're doing. I'm like, you know what? I will come back to this once the next gen patches are out and it's fully stable for us. Then I will come back and now try to jump in. But in the meantime, you take that with a grain of salt, and you take it at your own accountability when you decide if you want to play it on base systems, and it is what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. Last topic of the day.
We already talked about this. We talked about Microsoft and about Game Pass and how they try and transition to the cloud. Take it away.
Yeah, so Microsoft launched the xCloud Gaming last week, June 29th, 2021, which pretty much means that you can play on mobile devices and PC and play almost anywhere for the most part. All you have to do is go to xbox.com/pass.
Xbox.com/play.
Yeah, there we go, /play. And on your browser or your PC, and you can pretty much play if you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate.
And to add on to that, these games will portray as if you playing off the Series X. So the Series X is obviously Microsoft's most powerful console out there, so you would get basically all the bells and whistles compared to playing on the Xbox One. And I think that's how they're going to extend the Xbox One life cycle too a little bit. Let all the games that come out for the new console, they basically have a cloud version of their game available for the Xbox One. But I will say this though. I played on the cloud a little bit. I'm really not fun of playing on the cloud as much because it's a huge latency when it comes to input output.
Oh, I can only imagine. It's going to take a while before they get it to where it's smooth sailing, I think. But I think that it's an interesting concept, and it's good for gamers.
Yep. So we are finishing up this week podcast. We definitely thank you guys for joining us for this week podcast. And once again, I am Master Mel.
Nightman dying over here.
And we are out.